let's just begin with the Obama campaign. How have you integrated it?
So the Obama campaign did a very excellent job from the outset at realizing that mobile would be an important part of their plan. We are an outside company and we work with the campaign, and they have one person there who was in charge with social networking, mobile, and a lot of the internet outreach. And so he was able to see how each of those different tools, if you will, would reinforce each other towards the goal of helping out the campaign in having more voters, having more donations, having more volunteers. And so we were very lucky that from the outset there was a commitment to making these tools cross-fertilizing each other and making the most of their effect.
How would you, and I know that it's far too soon for you to comment on India as a market, but would you say that it is different in a sense how people behave to certain media in the US as opposed to India?
Obviously there's differences, and I'm only somewhat aware of the differences from the United States to India, but I know in the United States there's a far greater emphasis on privacy and personal space that tends to you have to have a much lighter touch in your mobile efforts. Whereas from what I've seen here, it's a little bit more commercial, and there seems to be more of a willingness to accept advertising and more of a willingness to engage. Whereas in the United States, it seems that people are still, the phone is so personal to people in the United States that you definitely need to do your best to make sure they've opted into every program and make like I said, a very light touch.
Do you see India as a place where you're going to be associated with?
We absolutely hope so. The Obama campaign is just one part of what we do. We work with lots of brands in the United States, and we also work with content providers in the United States, the HBOs of the world, to get their content onto mobile and make sure it's being delivered to users. And we think that just as there's demand in the United States for Bollywood content, we think that there's demand in India for Hollywood and other U.S. content, and it's part of the globalization of culture. There's obviously demands for each in each other country.
Can you describe to us two recent examples of the use of mobile phone and any other media, which has really stood out and it's been very successful?
Well, not to toot out my own horn, but I'd say the Obama campaign has been an example where the medium has been very effective. I'm not allowed to give out specific numbers, but there's been a huge interest in the campaign, and lots of people are texting in. And so on Election Day, Get Out the Vote message is sent to every person who's texted in. And the studies are showing that it increases the turnout about 4 to 5%. And as you may have noticed in some of the state primaries, that 4 to 5% is the difference in a win or a loss for Obama or Hillary Clinton. So we'd like to think that we might have had a little bit of a hand in helping Obama over the top, although obviously he's the reason he's doing so well. But we'd like to think we had a little help in that. And then another realm that we see a great deal of successes in the sports realm, because when people go to games, they're not bringing their laptops with them, but they are bringing their cell phones with them. And the people at the stadium, the owners of the team, don't necessarily know who's coming to the game. People are buying walk-up tickets, or they're getting tickets from friends. And so it's a way to collect data about who's at your game, what they want, additional ways to sell more tickets, the opportunity to have sponsorship opportunities where people are voting for a man of the match, or they're trying to win seat upgrades. And it's just been a great way to engage with people at the stadium, which 10 years ago, not very many people had their cell phones, and there was no opportunity to do that.
Okay, I don't know if you've watched any of the IPL games right now, but if I was to ask you for them, and a lot of people are watching the show to look at examples of what they can do in future, because this is the first year. Say the Super Bowl, or if you take baseball matches, what kind of branding techniques have now been introduced?
Well, as far as mobile in a sporting event, probably the biggest branding opportunity is sponsorship of promotions. So in the United States, for the longest time, especially during baseball when there's dead time, they wanted to entertain fans, and so there'd be dancing clowns on the field or cheerleaders or what have you. And they found is that mobile can take a part of that, so people can answer a trivia question and a winner is selected, or they can at the end of the game vote on the man of the match and they feel like they're being involved in that. And I think that would be perfect for IPL. Obviously, IPL being 2020 moves a little faster than a test match, so I've only watched 2 games so far, so I don't know exactly when the dead spots in the play are, but there's definitely an opportunity to engage the fans during that, and not only from a team perspective, but from a brand perspective, if the man of the match is sponsored by Vodafone or NDTV or whatever brand would be appropriate.
All right, one last thing, the New Media Congress. How do congresses like this, what purpose does it achieve? Well,
I think that it definitely is useful in sharing best practices and just seeing what your peers are doing. And sometimes in the United States, the industry is very much a mix of cooperation and competition. So you might be working with a company on one project and competing against them on another project. And my sense is that the same of that is here. If you're not participating in these kind of events, then you're being left out of that whole swirl of ideas that are coming about and new business ideas and new business opportunities. And so attending these kind of events we see as very important, and hopefully it stimulates new business ideas for all involved.
So what is your takeaway?
I thought it was an excellent event. I was truly impressed. The one thing that I noticed is that the cell phone operators here in India seem to be much more willing to take risks, much more willing to move faster than their counterparts in the United States, which is definitely, in the United States, that's been of a bit of frustration. So we're very excited to have the opportunity to work here in India.